Everyone, this is video 43, Heaven at 17%. Happy to see you. Hope you're having a great day. I hope you had a good night or good day. And let's talk about heaven. Let's talk about heaven. Let's find out more about let's unveil more about our future, starting now. So, yeah, it's exciting. Every moment is exciting because I guess the main when we stop believing, we're born believing in heaven. We are all born believing in heaven. That's all we believe. We just expect it. It's designed into us, built in, right? So that somehow the world, no matter how it happened, if we can come back to that, then that is the and it so happens this is the time we live in, the era that we live in. Then it is time to do that. Of course. So we all are meant to love our parents and our brothers and sisters and our friends and all of our relatives and friends and our spouse and our children, grandchildren, our grandparents, and so forth. And this is the secret. The secret is to find heaven and then follow heaven. I remember when I joined the Unification Church, that was the basis. To find the truth and follow the truth. And it says, this may not be the greatest truth. If something better comes along, I'll get right on it. So that's all we're doing. Same thing. We're finding the truth that resonates with us the closest to our own resonance, and it sounds true and it feels true. So heaven is the place where God's love, the love that created God, and that God used to create mankind, becomes our life. It becomes everything we think about, and everything that we do, everything we feel and think, say and do, is based upon and is related, is sourced for. It's the source of everything we think and say and do. Yes. Heaven is the place where we are centered on true love, God, family, and heaven. And all the things that people love. So what do people love? People love all kinds of things. I mean, first of all, we love our families and our parents. We love all the people around us, of course, because this is what the meaning of love. Love cannot be true love that we say we receive, that we center upon. When we center on true love, we're not centering upon love of some material thing, or even animals, or anything. What we're centering on is true love centered upon God, and God is our creator. So love is really, for a person, for a human, involves given, receive action of love, care, attention, desire to please, happiness, joy, and a feeling that we belong to God and the creation. Love makes us feel that way. So that's what heaven is. We're finding that we're finding out that all the moments in our life that we felt that way, even if there were only moments, or even if we never once felt that way, that maybe we could, in our distant imagination, or maybe we had forgotten, we did feel it maybe when we were born, or when we were in the mother's womb, or even outside after birth. We felt that way. And maybe we can, if we never felt that way after that, maybe we can even remember such early memories or feelings, or just have something can come to us. I think because God created us, we have the ability to become one with God. And so we are just in the position to heal God's suffering, and we want to come back. We have to become co-creators. To create heaven, we have to become just like God, because God created us, and we lost the opportunity by our own actions. So by our own actions, we have to gain the opportunity to become one with God. And all that means is living for the sake of others. And we're meant to think that, oh, this is something fearful, and, all the fog and just about everything that we were taught is all complete opposite of what we should be thinking. It's sad, but it's the reality that centered on true love means we pay attention to things that are loving and caring and giving and feeling emotionally attached to a person's family and all the people around us, as if we all, because we all are family. We all are God's children, and we all are equal brothers and sisters under our Creator God, who loves us. And of course, because it feels so good, and because we are created, but we are designed that way, our spirit and our body is completely designed by love, then we know deep inside this is our purpose. We know we are born for a reason. We weren't born because we are an animal. And even animals have a reason. They're here to make God created all things for his children to be happy. It's like parents. This is what Reverend Moon and his followers would say, that when you're ready to have a baby, you prepare everything so that the baby will be happy and pleased and have things to do and have everything it needs at all times. And then the parents have the baby. And so God is the same. God is just like us and wanted the world and all the universe to be eternally entertaining and joyful and infinitely increasing in love and happiness. So that's a great, we have a great Creator. Our God is an amazing being, more amazing than I know for sure. Maybe some of you already know, I hope. And how great is our God? I think we're making God smile by asking that question. How great are you, Heavenly Father? Our Heavenly Father has abilities that I don't understand. I do not understand how God could create things without, by thinking about it, somehow they came into being, because he doesn't have arms and legs. We are God's arms and legs. God gave us something he gave nothing else. I mean, that he created the universe without using people. And then he had his children, so he was able to create. Oh, and Reverend Moon points out that, at any time God can create more Earths. It's just at this time, there's no reason to, until we have succeeded in creating heaven. And Reverend Moon pointed out that creating more Earths is no problem at all for God. The challenge, God's first mission was to create the universe for his children, the perfect universe, and then breathe life into his children. And of course, I guess people were here, and then at some point he breathed life into them. Yeah. So that, yeah. And so accomplishing heaven on earth is like phase one. God needed to get to that point. He wasn't going to go, there's no reason. Maybe they're already out there. Yeah. Maybe all the Earths are already out there. And, or however long it takes, that's right. It's, yeah. So by the time we get there, like Elon Musk started SpaceX, and his goal is to inhabit Mars, to give humanity a second chance in case the Earth is, but not that we're going to destroy the Earth, but he says, his reasoning is that eventually the earth will be destroyed, but of course I don't believe that. But, it doesn't hurt to go everywhere else too. And he's all excited about it. He said he wants a world that he can wake up in the morning and have something to live for. That's why he's doing all the things he does, which I think is fantastic. He's a dreamer, and he expects to accomplish his dreams, and so they are being accomplished, and he has thousands and thousands of people working to accomplish them for him, with him, and they're doing a very good job. They're doing it. Everything he's aspired to do, he's done, except the things he's still working on, of course, and the ones that he hasn't come up with yet, or hasn't started yet. So heaven is going to be, we are about to give God the greatest gift of all history, and that is the world of happiness for his children. And God, we can make God cry, because we just, when we sincerely believe and desire to do that all the time, then we're kind of standing with God. God wants people to be with him. And to be with him, we give ourselves to, we live for the sake of others. We try and do what other people love and care to do. And then we, number one, put ourselves in God's place, and then help people the best we can. I would, anyway, we do the best we can. We each have a portion of God's heart, but it's full. It's 100% for us, and God can experience 100% love from even one person. It's amazing. And so imagine, 7.5 billion people, and all the people in the spiritual world, however many, 30 billion or however much it is. That's a lot of love that God is yearning for. Every person that is born creates, it is evidence of a yearning of God for love. And yeah, it's good. It's good to dwell on what is heaven like. What is heaven? What is the nature of heaven? And what is our role in bringing it to pass, to making it happen as soon as possible? And it reminds me, Reverend Moon said, we have a leader. We have our leader, and then we pray and we, do all kinds of things, conditions and so forth. But he says at some point we get a vision, and as soon as we get the vision, then we are running on our own vision. Our vision is what's motivating us, and that's why I haven't read any Divine Principle in the last 9 years, which sounds pretty bad. Well, I did actually at Camp Mazumdar. We were reading from the Cheongsam-gyeong in the morning during Hundoke. I'm certainly not opposed to it. It's Reverend Moon said it's what we should do. We should actually read all the heavenly texts and everything he ever said and study it. And I just have been, I've not done that yet. And of course, if I have to, I certainly will. But somehow, most people haven't either. Not unificationists, hopefully most unificationists have, but I'm sure most unificationists regularly study and the Divine Principle and the 8 holy texts, they're called, that Reverend Moon left for us to read. And yeah, but most people on Earth, of course, if there's 8 billion people on Earth, 8.9 billion of them, 7.9 billion of them have not ever read the Divine Principle or the 8 holy texts. So, but in the spirit world, if there's 30 billion people and they're all studying now or following Reverend Moon, then it won't take long for the Earth to come around. And maybe it's not all of them yet. I don't know how that's going to work out, but we'll hear that story. We'll hear the story of heaven. That will be interesting. That will be, yeah, that will be interesting to find out where the experience of even just our own ancestors. We can hear about history, and I've heard that you can actually watch a movie when you get to Spirit World of anything you want. You could watch a movie of all of history, of your life. I mean, I'm not sure if that's true. That'd be so cool, though, wouldn't it? If you could watch a history of all of your ancestors back to Adam and Eve. It would take a while. You could click it, fast forward it, one generation at a time. So let's say it's 300, let's say it's 400,000 years since Adam and Eve. I used to think it was 88,000, but I've heard it's hundreds of thousands. Let's say it's 400,000. And one generation is 25 years. That's 4 per 100. That's 40 per 1,000. That's, well, 40 per 1,000. That's 400 per 100,000. 400 per 100,000. So it's 1,600 generations. Yeah. And if you watched that in 16-minute video, then you'd be watching the highlights of 100 generations per minute. Yeah. That would be a pretty shallow that would be a pretty shallow investigation. But Reverend Moon wrote the what's it called, the Parallels of History. That's what it's called. I was trying to think of that yesterday maybe. And it's how all history it's the history that God designed to restore mankind, to bring mankind back into the heavenly realm, to restore Adam and Eve. Because when Adam and Eve carry out and don't fall and carry out, are fulfilled in their perfection, become perfect in oneness with God, then history is done. Then the restoration is done. Everything else can happen. So when Reverend Moon did that, when he finished his life, I guess, then the pattern. Yesterday I was trying to hide it, but I was yawning like 10 times in the video. Maybe I won't hide it today. I make the videos at the end of the day because in the morning sometimes I have to go to work, or I wake up late because I stay up late, and then I want to get to work before. And plus, at the end of the day, somehow the videos are easier because I've been busy. And sleeping is not necessarily the best preparation to make videos. But anyway, but I can make videos in the morning too. That's no problem. And I have. You've seen the ones. I tell you what time. Oh, I didn't say what time this one was. Today's Wednesday, the 17th of July, 2019, at 10. Oh my gosh. At 10:03. At 10:03 p.m. So today I worked until 9:30. I'm just working here at home, so it's easy to work late. So I started at 12:30, and I worked till 9:30, but I had to go buy materials, and then I took a nap. So it's, what did I say, 10? Yeah, it's 10:03, let me see. 10 o'clock, so it's 10 o'clock. So I worked till 9:30, from 12:30, that's 9 hours, minus say 2, so 7 hours today, that's great. Yeah, and I got like 12, let's say at least 11, but 12 strips of hardwood floor on. I'm putting a hardwood floor on a concrete floor, and we don't have plywood. I mean, we have the plywood, we could have put it down, but it's going to make it very thick, and we were thinking, gee, it's used hardwood. It's oak, 2 1/4 by 3/4 of an inch thick. It's very expensive. It's the best hardwood floor you can get. But it's used. It's already been used once, and it was ripped out of a house, so we kind of got to pick through and get the good boards. And anyway, so it's a timely process for sure. And you can do it. But since the boards were laid before, we had them out in the sun. I think some of them warped. because I'm not so sure they were warped inside the rooms, when they were down. So if you're ever doing this, if you're ever taking up hardwood floor or doing anything with wood, keep it out of hot sun. I know new wood just warps like crazy right away if you put it in the sun, because I've been in construction all my life, pretty much. And but it's the same is true, I think, for oak hardwood, even though it's, of course, totally dry. So be careful and stack it on flat surfaces and keep it covered from the sun if you have to put it outdoors. Anyway, so tomorrow, 10 more rows and I'll be done with the room. It's only a 12 by 20 room, roughly. It's a little less each way. But it turned out real beautiful. Yeah. I don't know how much you got that. You got it on Craigslist. You used oak lumber, used oak flooring. They had 2,500 square feet. I guess the whole house, all the rooms had oak in it. And they were going to put something else, and they decided, for some reason, they decided to tear it all out. So that's what they did. So save your flooring. Give me a call if you want to reinstall it. Maybe I'll fly right over wherever you are. Oh my God, but get some good knee pads. I've been lucky. I don't have problems with my knees, but people that do floor work, they can't work more than about 10 or 12 years in that profession because it just ruins their knees. They have to have surgery, and oh my God, it's a nightmare. Yeah, so I don't usually do flooring, and that's why I guess they're still okay. And I always use knee pads in whatever I do. I have to, because if I start kneeling on hard floors and stuff, it's very painful. Yeah. Anyway, so that's a little about my life. So, yeah, we're touching on that most essential, that heaven is so beautiful. And the thought that we can be one with God, who is the Creator, who is the perfect, who is the being of absolute love that created the universe, and understand it through our relationship with God, everything, all knowledge and all. Oh, apparently, like I said before, Reverend Moon says that when you get to the spirit world in 3 weeks, you learn more than you did if you went to university your whole life. I thought that was entertaining. It's kind of a relief because I never went to college. I went to college, actually. I went to 2 years of junior college. Yeah, but it wasn't free, so I had to drop out because I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle going to college and working at the same time. I said, oh, forget it. Yeah. So anyway, hats off to those who can, though. Honestly, yeah. It's amazing what some people have the motivation to do. A lot of people from foreign countries who grow up poor, they come to the United States and it's just like, my God, all I got to look at all this money, and they just save and save and save, and then it's like a jet plane. And once they take off, they're out of here. They're on a whole another level that I've never been able to save. I was thinking today, though, if I have $60 or $100 or $10,000 or $100 million in the bank, and there's people starving, how do we reconcile that? So I don't feel so bad about living day to day with what do they call it, hand to mouth, living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah, I don't have a regular. What yes, I do. I have my pension check, which I told you is $682 a month. So and I live. I send most of that away because I know I have work, so I don't save it. And then when I get work, the people need it more than I do, so I can't keep it. Sometimes I don't even have enough for food. But that's, I think it's wise for me. Like, I need to buy a distiller, and I think it's wise because it makes me well, and I can work harder and longer if I'm well. There's no need to make me sick because my friends are hungry. I mean, if I was there, I wouldn't have the right food or the distilled water. Well, yes, I would, depending on where I was. In the Philippines, it rains enough. You can have all the distilled water you want if you just save it, which may not be easiest, but they get enough. They definitely get enough rain. Matter of fact, when I first went down there, I think I said this in a video. I did. I'm going to repeat it because not everybody saw the first videos, I'm sure. Some of them don't have any views yet. Anyway, that's fine. They will, I think. as long as they don't get taken down, or if I don't delete them for some reason. Anyway, when I first went to the Philippines, I got a ride. I arrived at one friend's house, and then I was going to go to my other friend's house, after 6 months, or I forget what it was. But then they called 3 days later and said, "Oh, come now." So I left, but I had my distiller, but I left it at the first people's house because it rained, and I literally put a bucket out, and within 10 seconds I had 2 or 3 gallons of water. Like the distiller, you have to plug it in, and the electricity is not the same in the Philippines. The U.S. appliances do not work there. Okay, so I took a juicer there, and I did kind of put it on and off, because in the Philippines you have it's 220, but it has two 220 lines. So you can have 220 or 440, but you can't have 110. I thought, oh, it's 220, so I'll just take one of them. It didn't work. And then we ran the other one to the ground, stuck the wire in the ground and packed the ground around it. And that was our ground. And I think that we needed that. Anyway, so, but what did I have? I had a charger that would work. Oh, my phone and my charger worked in the Philippines. Yeah, it was for the Philippines, so, yeah. So not the juicer though. But the juicer I left there too. So when I go back and see that friend, I'll be able to use the juicer. But I got another juicer. It works. So yeah. So I left it. So I got to buy another one. It hasn't rained recently. So now it's 26 minutes and 51 seconds. What else? What else do we want to make sure we cover on video 43, Heaven at 17%? We're just excited. We're just excited. We believe more and more every day. It just makes more sense. Everything's fitting together like a puzzle. That heaven will be here. And in another 83% in another 83 days, we will be in heaven. That's just, oh my God, that's more exciting than I can imagine. I mean, to know that, to really believe that, and I do. I really believe it. I really, 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 really believe it. So, it's just, I don't have anyone that believes it with me. God does. If it's true, and I believe it, then obviously it's from God, and God believes it too. So, I do have God to share it with. And God speaks to me. Yes. God speaks to everyone. When children talk to themselves. I mean, if they're not talking to somebody else, or if other people are around them, they direct it at other people, naturally, and it just becomes like participating. It just becomes an endless flow, like a spring, a fountain of love and interaction. Love creates. Love causes a fountain of creativity. So, yeah. So, as we all grew from birth, we all felt God's presence and communicated with God in one way or another, until, unless we consciously stop doing it, which I guess is what we do. Anyway, I can't explain it yet, but I'll explain it. That's one thing about between now and the next 83 days, we'll be able to explain everything. I'm pretty pumped. Over the last however many years since I've been watching the internet, I've watched a lot of things which I never knew before, but I had a feeling. Yeah. It's like planned obsolescence. I talked about that before. When I first heard about that, I said, no, that's not possible. Or war. I remember the feeling of thinking, what is war for? It just, human beings don't accept those things readily. Yeah, so, anyway, we'll be able to explain it all. All the dark corners. There will be no more dark corners when we're through. Yay. So thanks for being here. God bless you and your family and all your ancestors back to God. And let's have a great day, have a great night, and see you tomorrow. Let's share a beautiful video in video 44, Heaven at 18% tomorrow. Thanks for sharing your time. Take care.